Today we're going to be reviewing all the trades I took this week. As you can see here, this was the first trade on GJ, and this was the same trade. We added a second position on that one, as you can see here. Then we took a small loss on DAX, and then two nice wins on GJ to finish off the week. So yeah, if you guys are new to the series, make sure you can go back and look at every single trade we've posted on here, gone through some drawdowns, some flat periods, documenting everything and sharing, the reality of what trading is really like. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. But let's get into this week. First trade we can see here is on GJ, right? So if you can see here, we actually ended up closing this at about 11 pips, right? 11 pips, 8 pips for both positions. So let's have a look at this one over here. Very, very simple trade. And you'll see all of my trades were almost the exact same this week, but we still had different outcomes because that's how trading works, right? You don't just have input outcome, you have input probability outcome. So let's have a look at this trade. First of all, we can see taken in New York session here. So yeah, last year it was very much London dominant. This year it's starting to shift. I'm seeing a lot more nice moves during New York, but it's a mixed bag. So luckily I can trade both at the moment. And let's see, yeah, this trade, very simple 15-minute breakout. We had this very nice clean range to the left over here, which is basically the first thing I look for in all of my trades. I want to see price moving into clean range, right? Because that's just a increased chance that we're going to see volume and less sort of paths of resistance price is going to move into, and we can move up to our TP nicely. So nice 15-minute breakout. We entered on this candle over here. Okay, so what's important about this trade is not really the entry or the analysis, it's the way I managed it and didn't let it sort of turn into a full loss, a big loss. So let's go into replay mode very quickly so we can see how this played out. So simple analysis, if you look at the 4-hour, you'll see 4-hour was bullish, or at least closing above a previous. We can have a real quick look over here to have a quick check, right? So 4-hour was actually bearish, but we're breaking above structure into this nice clean range over here. Okay, so if we then go to the 15-minute time frame, nice breakout, higher highs, higher lows, forming support. 5-minute as well should have some structure. We actually don't, right? So that's something, I'm still really working on, is which are the best trades considering lower time frame structure. Because what we're really doing here is we're ending sort of this push phase, and now we're entering when we expect a new exhaustion phase, right? So this is the reality of what price usually does, is it comes back and then continues, but sometimes it does just have that pop straight away, and that's why we have this stop loss down here below previous structure, to see if we can retest back into this range and then continue, because sometimes it could just rip up from here, right? Because the structure is there, the volume is there, but ideally you want to be entering at the beginning of these new push phases like down here. Okay, but you can't always get that. So go back to the 15-minute, entered initial position over here. We can see it just sort of didn't really do much, but the important thing now is we have somewhere to manage this trade, right? We've seen exactly what we thought. Price pushed back, sort of rejected this previous level. Now we've created a new higher low structure, right? If you look on the lower time frames, you'll see all we've created is a new structure, right? We've retested and now we've created a new higher low, expecting price to now continue this push phase after we've had that exhaustion. Okay, so this was the initial entry, and then if you guys have watched me in the past, you'll know this pattern right here is something I look to add risk on, right? Because realistically, all we're doing is, as I mentioned, we're creating a exhaustion and then a break and retest continuation. Okay, so this pattern, I call it a head tail. I like to enter a second position, usually about half risk of the initial position. I have really tight stops, and I try just see if momentum can push us through. Okay, but unfortunately this one, it just didn't really have much to it. We got triggered in, I believe over there, and it was looking good. And then as soon as we broke these lows, I just cut both positions over here. Okay, so well managed loss. I think, you know, it's worth it sometimes to add these extra positions, but you have to ensure that your risk remains stable, right? You can't double bet on a trade. If you want to add a position, you have to keep your risk the same, or you have to accept that you're risking basically 2 times the amount or 1.5 times the amount on the same trade, right? Just because you have a continuation pattern doesn't mean you can bet more, right? The probabilities of this trade working doesn't change enough for me to justify double the risk. Even if it did, I'm not going to double the risk. I'm going to add risk while trying to keep downside the same or slightly less even. So we managed to like half our original stop loss in this case, from about 20 all the way down to 10. So we halved that position, and then the next position is only half risk, right, of the original position, but this one only has a 10 pip stop loss. So actually we're risking only about less than 1% on both positions, right? The original position was 1% risk, but when we're adding and cutting cutting our stop loss, we're keeping that risk the same. We're not adding more risk, we're only adding more upside. Okay, it's a little bit tighter, but we're trying not to sort of decrease the amount of robustness in our system. So yeah, that was a trade, super well managed. And again, it's worth it. Just didn't really work out in this scenario, but very happy with that trade. Decent start to the week. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Next one was on DAX, right? Which, yeah, I don't really know what happened with this one. I think I was a little bit bored even at trading because, as you guys have seen, the last sort of month and a bit, probably like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, has been break even, right? It's been slow going. So I think maybe that just got to me a little bit and I was searching for trades. But the key thing is like we're managing, right? We're not just disregarding everything we know. We're not sort of just betting on this one trade. We're managing risk really well, even if we make a mistake. So yeah, I wouldn't usually trade DAX. I did trade it in the past, and I think sometimes, you know, I just look at what else is happening besides GJ, Gold, and GU. And I saw this setup and I really wanted to take it. It made sense to me, but yeah, just didn't work out. Minus about 8 pips. So if we look at DAX over here, this one again, it was a little bit more sort of complex in terms of technicals, but in reality, it was a very, very simple trade. So if we look at the 4 hour, we'll go into replay mode over here. So 4 hour, nice big push phase heading into London, created some nice structure up here. Now if we can sort of create support on the lower timeframes over here and then break above this structure, we can look to continue this bullish push, right? Ideally, again, you can enter from down here as long as you see clean ranges on the lower timeframes and nice structure being formed. Okay, so if we look at the 15-minute, you'll see it was quite messy in this range. And I didn't really feel comfortable taking anything here. Plus, it's outside my trading window. Okay, so if you look here, that realistically is a trade you want to get into, but it just wasn't really during my trading window, right? So nice rejection, breakout, and then you have this sort of support being formed, higher timeframes aligned. This is the trade you want to get into. Okay, but now it's sort of taking the retest, and then we go. Okay, so this was sort of the retest. If you look at the 5-minute, which this was taken on, you'll see we have that same structure we had down here, just on the lower time frames, right? So this 5-minute closed above. This is where we entered. And again, we just managed risk really well on this, down to about 8 pips. If you look at the 1-minute time frame, you'll see there was some structure we could work with, looking to see how we react to this previous breakout level over here. As soon as we broke below, I just cut it. You know, I realized not really my trade. Yeah, just not worth it. But again, super well managed. And that's the key, right? These mistakes, these losses, they're all super small. There are very quick learning curves. They're, you know, giving me more data to reflect on what works, what doesn't. It's not, let's take a big backward step and risk a lot on something we're not 100% sure on. So that's the key, and that's what it is allowing me to sort of get this steady incline, even if we have some break-even periods. Okay, so now we can move on to some of the nicer trades, which were just super clean and very simple as well. So let's have a look. I believe this is it here. Yeah, so this is it here on GJ. Super simple 15-minute breakout, just looking to continue. You can see we have nice clean range. Unfortunate to get trailed out of this one. I did try and hold on, but yeah, just didn't quite get the timing right, but ended up with about 21 pips. So let's have a look at this on GJ over here. And you can see how similar all these trades are, even the next one. This is basically the exact same trade as this first trade over here. If you have a look at this one, which was over here, right? So exact same sort of setup, nice little breakout, moving into clean ranges. And again, exact same setup, right? So you have to understand that you're not always going to get the same outcome with the same inputs. You have to actually understand how probabilities work in that sense. So let's break this down. We can go into a bit more depth on this one, but again, it's not really much to look at technical wise. All we're doing, a little bit of like a reversal trade, price failing to make new lows, breaking above this previous structure over here, moving into this clean range, right? So even though we're trading against the trend, right, the session bias heading into London is bullish, right? Because we have this breakout, because we have previous structure breaking above. The session bias is still bullish, and that's what we're looking for, right? We don't have to catch this entire downtrend. We just have to catch what's happening in this session. Okay, so if you look at the hourly time frame over here, again, looking at this, here's the actual breakout, but we had some lower time frame levels over here, and this is right in that pre-New York session. Perfect trade, very simple, right? So here's the breakout, moving into very clean range, and then first candle, we had a little bit of drawdown. But again, if you look at this on the 1 minute time frame, the reason I didn't manage it, there's nothing really to manage it with, right? It just had a big push down. If you're closing this early, like you could close over here super aggressive. But yeah, we had a 30-minute breakout for me. I wanted to see how price was reacting. I think maybe, 4 out of 10 times I could have closed this depending on my mental state and how I was thinking. But at this time, yeah, I felt comfortable with the trade and I liked what I was seeing. And then eventually we got a nice push. There's the push. And then, yeah, let's have a look at the 1 minute over here, how I tried to trail this. So yeah, this is how we managed it. As soon as we broke this second structure of 1 minute time frame, we just closed it. Already locked in that 1-to-1. It's a little bit of a shame, but yeah, you can't sort of outmaneuver stuff like this. To have two sort of structure breaks and then a continuation, like maybe you could have trailed on the 5 minute. That would have made a lot of sense. But yeah, unfortunately, it just, didn't get the timing right. You can't always predict these things. You just have to keep your options open, right? And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to trail on the 1 minute or the 5 minute just to keep that option open. 9 times out of 10, it's going to miss. It's going to just get 1-to-1 or 1-to-1.2 or whatever. But every now and then you get a little bit of luck and it continues, and you can turn a 1-to-1 into a 1.25 or 1-to-3 or whatever. Okay, so very simple trade. And if you look at the next one, it's the exact same. Little bit more tight range. Just if you look at the 15-minute over here, but exact same idea, right? Nice little, how much is this? 15 pip range. Nice breakout into this clean range, looking to push at least up to this level and continuation, right? So this one, yeah, this is where that 1 minute trail works really well. Some structure created up here on the 1 minute, and then you just trail that stop. You don't really risk losing anything extra, but you just keep yourself open to that option. So yeah, very simple. I mean, looking at the higher time frames, we don't even have to because it's the exact same as this one and the previous one. So yeah, that was a trade. If you look at the execution over here, you can just see, yeah, very simple trade. Nice little 15-minute breakout into that clean range, breaking above there. Okay, so up about 2% this week, a little bit less actually, with these losses, about 1.7. So nice little week. Yeah, we'll keep it going. Hope you guys enjoyed.